It's time for another WrestlePlanet news update, as two wrestlers leave All Elite Wrestling, and WWE are set to release some major stars. All that and more coming up in today's video, but first, it seems that AEW's temporary move from Wednesday nights to Friday nights due to the NBA playoffs has had a detrimental effect on the weekly ratings, as the Double or Nothing Go Home edition of Dynamite drew a record low number. They drew an average of 526,000 in the overall viewership, which is down 36% from last week's 821,000. They were also down 28.6% in the key demo, going from a 0.28 to a 0.2. The ratings for this show had been delayed, but now they are out, the results aren't a good sight. This is a result of Dynamite being moved to Friday nights due to the NBA playoffs being shown on TNT. The show aired in a later 10 PM time slot as to avoid clashes with WWE SmackDown, and the new time slot and new day has nearly halved their numbers. This figure could give an indication on the numbers that the upcoming AEW Rampage will draw, as it will be aired in the Friday 10 PM time slot on TNT before moving to TBS in January. AEW will also be holding this week's Dynamite on Friday before moving back to Wednesdays at 8 PM the following week. On the latest edition of the Wrestling Observer Radio, Dave Meltzer discussed the sales for AEW's last pay-per-view, Double or Nothing, and has indicated that the show was a big success. According to Meltzer, the show drew the second most pay-per-view buys in company history, falling short of this year's AEW Revolution show, which did 125,000 buys. Here is a graph of the previous pay-per-view buys courtesy of WrestleNomics, and according to this report from Meltzer, Double or Nothing 2021 will sit between Revolution 2021 and Double or Nothing 2020. The company would have no doubt been targeting the number one place, but second place isn't too bad either. This is certainly a silver lining given the bad rating AEW drew last week on Friday. Chris Jericho is set to go on tour with his band Fozzy, and the tour dates span from July 14th all the way until October 9th, with most of the shows happening in the month of September. This has sparked rumours of a break from AEW television for Le Champion. Jericho spoke to the media after the AEW Double or Nothing pay-per-view this weekend and was asked whether he would be taking time away from AEW television. He responded, "It's one of those things that if you kind of do the math and look at the schedules, there's always a way to make it work. With AEW, we're excited to go back on the road. Fozzy, this tour that we're doing was postponed 5 times, and now that we're ready to go, it's super exciting in that respect as well. But I'll be on Dynamite as much as I can, which is still probably all the time." Jericho is coming off the back of a Stadium Stampede victory, with his Inner Circle teammates picking up a pay-per-view main event win over the Pinnacle. Looking at the schedule of the tour, it looks like he'll mostly miss September and maybe early October shows, whilst his time in July and August are mostly free. This Friday and Saturday, AEW will tape 3 weeks worth of TV, which includes AEW Dynamite. AEW's schedule will seemingly be affected throughout the month of June due to the NBA playoffs, with AEW now trying to get ahead of the game. TNT have playoff games scheduled for Wednesday 9th, 16th and 23rd, and according to reports, AEW will have the option to move to a later time slot on the Wednesday, or potentially move days to Thursdays or Fridays. As we saw earlier, the NBA has caused a sharp drop in viewership for Dynamite, and it looks like it's going to continue for another month. The 3 weeks worth of tapings this weekend will see the Jungle Boy vs Kenny Omega AEW World title match being filmed and kept in the can. Of course, Jungle Boy earned this shot after winning the Casino Battle Royal at Double or Nothing, and is set to take on the Belt Collector in 2 weeks' time. This week's NXT episode featured another vignette for the Diamond Mine, which seemed to be teasing some kind of MMA themed stable coming to the black and gold brand. The video this time, however, showed the words "opening soon," which has many speculating that the tease isn't for a stable, but in fact an MMA themed show or segment for NXT, similar to Raw Underground. According to Wrestling Inc., the vignette shows athletes using bags with the Fusion XL brand name on them. Fusion XL is a fitness center based out of Ocoee, Florida, which teaches adults and kids MMA, Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, Muay Thai, fitness kickboxing, group fitness, and personal training. Ocoee is just 20 minutes from Orlando, where the WWE Performance Center is located. Could the Fusion XL be the home to an MMA brand on NXT's weekly show, or do you think it's going to be a stable? Let me know in the comments down below. This weekend, Awesome Kong and Shanna's profiles were removed from the official AEW website, and this brought up much speculation as to whether the duo had been released from the company. Dave Meltzer of the Wrestling Observer is reporting that AEW have let the two members of the roster leave after their contract expired. First off, Shanna's last match for AEW was on the 7th of April this year, losing to Layla Hirsch on Dark, where the majority of her matches were fought. According to Fightful Select, Shanna will not be making any sort of return to the company after there was some issues with her and some extras, and apparently how they felt that they were treated by her. There's no elaboration on what exactly that means, but it seems she won't be making a return to the company anytime soon. Awesome Kong made her debut at the first ever AEW pay-per-view Double or Nothing. She went on to become a member of the Nightmare Collective with Brandy Rhodes, Luther, and Mel, before being kicked out of the group to allow her to have time off to film her role in the Netflix series Glow. The show ended up being cancelled due to the pandemic, and Kong hasn't been seen in AEW since. As for Awesome Kong, she hasn't been around much, if at all, in the last 16 months, and she was expected to be moving into a coaching role after she was no longer cleared to wrestle, but this didn't end up happening. Following her AEW Women's Championship win at Double or Nothing this past weekend, Britt Baker's boyfriend Adam Cole has posted a photograph on Instagram of the couple posing with her new title belt. This is somewhat surprising, as of course Adam Cole is contracted to WWE on their NXT brand and is one of the main eventers on that show. Cole has been spotted at AEW associated events before, including the AEW New Year's Party, where he was spotted wrestling with Brody Lee Jr., even taking a pinfall from the youngster. After celebrating with her proud boyfriend, Britt is set for an on-screen celebration this Friday on Dynamite, which could see her confronted by her next challenger. As we know, celebrations in wrestling never go to plan, so it will be interesting to see what the next chapter of the AEW Women's Championship brings us. And quickly before we continue, make sure you scroll down and hit the subscribe button and turn on the notification bell so you don't miss any upcoming videos as we head towards 20,000 subscribers. But now you've done that, let's get on with the video. According to a big report from Fightful Select, WWE is planning more releases in the near future, which could come as early as this week. According to their sources, a number of quote major names are being considered for the chopping block. It's unclear how major these names will be or whether it will include main event wrestlers. However, this is what the report is seemingly referring to. A list of the names is said to be in place, but WWE has a tendency to change their minds on certain releases at the last minute. This will certainly be an interesting story to follow, as WWE is rumored to be setting up for a sale of the company, which is said to be the reason for the recent releases as well as any future ones. It looks like they're trying to cut back their expenses in order to make it look much more profitable. And while you're here, make sure you check out my review of AEW Double or Nothing 2021.